NERDSoul.
Yeah, late ill kid at OneYoungsta holding it down, bringing that StreetGeek and NERDSoul. What is up, my people? Today, coming with another wonderful episode of Doppio Dope. I'm not by myself. I have NERDSoul Light, but I'm joined by the awesome, well-esteemed Clement Bryant. What's up?
Tired, bro. I'm tired, man. It's been a couple weeks, man. Things at work have been a little chill, but also it's like, all right, it's like get to a point where now, after everything that's kind of happened, now we're like, okay, how are we addressing this? But yeah, it's been good. Started my workout routine. I'm on a brand new diet workout routine that makes me tired as all hell, but you know, I'm doing it. How about you, man?
Trying to maintain.
Yeah.
You know, got the 9 to 5 stuff, got the NERDSoul stuff, got the family stuff. But you know, due to what's going on now, you know, hopeful, but you know, it's still a whole bunch of stress and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And just like trying to operate normally in the new Corona timeline plus everything else.
Yeah.
So with that said, how is life for you right now?
See, it's been interesting, like, as far as like, let's just call it what the elephant in the room is, or it's not even an elephant. It's like, you know, the last 2 weeks have been kind of just a hotbed of talking about BLM, Black Lives Matter, because of George Floyd being killed pretty much on the recording, being recorded and being killed. So it's like, it's been very interesting trying to figure out how to deal with that. And I personally haven't gone to a lot of protests. I think that's one way people have been active, but you know, I've donated to, you know, certain funds about, you know, for the protesters, but you know, because we are in this Corona timeline right now, it makes you nervous to kind of even go to a protest, just because, like, I'm not sure if I told you this, but my dad last summer, he had a double blood clot in his lungs.
Oh man.
So of course that happens, and then my mom literally 2 weeks later starts having really bad seizures because of a new medication that was taken, right? So that happens last summer, and then of course Corona starts happening in February and March of this year. So because it's an autoimmune disease and it affects, you know, the nervous system, but also affects, you know, circulation and also just breathing, I'm kind of like, okay, I need to stay home because I don't know when I'm going to be able to see my parents again, be able to hug them, be able to like just see them in person. So it's like, and my thing is, I go home at least once or twice a year back to, you know, the DMV to see them. But now that this whole thing has made me nervous, so it's like I kind of just stayed to myself just because I don't want to risk them getting it. You know what I mean? Because people can be asymptomatic.
Same with me. I definitely feel you on that one. Because I'm not trying to go home until there's like a working vaccine. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, because, you know, we're both out here in LA. Going back it's tough because you also have that long airplane ride. You know what I'm saying? Where you're kind of like stuck with people.
Right.
And so since you're stuck with people, and you know, you could have people that are sick that you don't know, they might not be symptomatic yet, or they may be asymptomatic. You know, the way the air is cycled, you never know.
Right.
And keeping a mask on for me for the 6-hour flight or whatever, depending on if you connect, I can do that, but to ask a 2-year-old to do it isn't always as easy.
Right.
So I don't want to take that shot on someone so young or someone so old, you know, getting it.
Right.
So I'm definitely worried about that. but then also kind of like you, I'm not out protesting. But you know, that's not the only way that we can protest, which I have been blown away by the people that are out there protesting.
It's impressive. It's impressive.
But also, like you said, a huge thing that we need is to, like, you know, like Dilla said, let the dollar circulate. So it's like you donating, you know, I've been shifting a lot of my dollars over to buying from Black-owned companies, and I've been doing that.
Yeah,
I've been doing that for about the last year. I've been moving over for everything that you can. You know what I'm saying? Of course, you might not be able to find a Black-owned company for everything, but soap, shampoo, lotion, deodorant, t-shirts, socks. You know, there's tons of stuff that, you know, things that are made, or like Black restaurants, or you know, there's tons of things that are made by Black-owned companies that you already buy anyway.
Yeah.
So it's like, you're gonna buy it anyway, just buy it from here. You know what I'm saying? So I've been slowly, but like, that's a huge thing that I've been trying to push, whether it's on my social media, on my live streams, or anything, is because it's like, I know I can't go out there and be, because there's been a couple times I've wanted to, because other outlets that aren't Black media have found a way to interview no Black people when they're out there at the protest.
I know exactly where you're going.
I was like, how have they interviewed, like, you know, 4 or 5 non-Black people in a row, and there's Black people around, walking around, like in the back of the shot? Somehow they don't get asked. And this one was the one on Venice that was over the weekend, I believe, where I saw that. And I was like, man, I really wish I could be out there. But then I'm like, I can't chance that, you know, with such a young, with a 2-year-old.
Yeah.
But at the same time, what I can do is continue to push. Like, I've started, like, whenever I buy something from a Black-owned company, I've been tweeting about it and stuff like that, because I've, on the low, ran the numbers. Like, if 1 to 2% of the Black populace was to buy from, like, Black-owned companies, we could essentially bootstrap our own companies. Like, you're talking about $2 to $10 million in revenue. So I've been like, yo, if I shift my money,
try that.
If I push people to shift their money, then hopefully, because this is not even a lot. You don't have to have like 50% of the Black community doing it. Like 1 to 2%. Like, say if 2% of all Black people bought a T-shirt from you and you were selling them at $10 a pop, you know what I'm saying, or $20 a pop, that grows exponentially. So it's like, you know, I've been trying to preach that economics. Education is a whole thing, because, you know, my wife is a teacher, but, you know, economics is a huge thing. So it's like, we got the people out there on the front lines, which I'm like, dope, good. Keep pushing, because people have been saying vote, 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 vote.
Yeah.
But the changes that we've got recently, they didn't involve voting.
And honestly, man, it's been like, it's kind of like, you know, last year I worked on a really, really, I can't name it, but a really, really big show that deals with police brutality.
Yep.
And, you know, the criminal justice system. Working on that show, of course, I already knew all of that, but watching that show day in and day out and having to research that case and research everything that's going on, it was kind of like, I don't want to use traumatic. Traumatic's not the right word, but it kind of made me reconsider a lot of things, but also made me take a step back from a lot of such, because there are points when I had to do this for my job that I couldn't do it. It was hard for me to even talk about, because even stuff like this is very hard for me to talk about. It's very emotional. And so, I want to go and protest, but like you say, it's like, I can't risk the fact of my dad getting COVID. You know what I mean? My dad, both of my parents are, they're both over 60, and COVID's been hitting the Black community, which is very interesting that it's been hitting the Black community very hard. We also have this going on too. So it's like, and my girlfriend's brother, he's autistic, so he's nonverbal. So, and he's like in his early 20s, and we can't risk him getting it either because he won't be able to voice what's going on with that.
What's actually happening. Yeah.
What's going on. So I think, while we are taking those steps to be responsible with him, it's also a thing of we have to be very careful. And also, my girlfriend has elderly. Her grandmother is in, a home because she's got dementia, but also she wants to go and see her grandmother and do all this stuff. And, we're talking about getting married. And it's like, okay, we have to make a very measured approach about how we're going to support, because we obviously can't be in the streets every day. Right.
Yeah. So it's like, that's why I love the approach of like, all right, cool. We got the people in the streets, and they need to keep hitting the streets, keep doing what you got to do, bang that drum, yell, get in their face, do whatever you got to do, make that noise, be seen. Then we need our people holding down the economics, donate, also come in with plans for these companies that are like, these companies are now like, Black people, what do you need from us? It's like, I'm glad you asked. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So then you got that, what I'm saying? We need our older contingent out there, in these, different boardrooms and stuff that they've already worked to, providing the voice that, to mirror the voice from the streets, in those boardrooms, because even, you might be 20 in the streets, you can't get to the boardroom that this 50-year-old, 60-year-old person has gotten into. But this 50-year-old, 60-year-old needs to echo those sentiments. So it's like on all angles, we hitting it. You know what I'm saying? You don't, you can approach it, from a financial standpoint, an educational standpoint, a policy standpoint, a protest standpoint, and, move forward.
See, and that's the thing. It's like, and
it's
I'm having a lot of, and it's like, I'm having a lot of those conversations. Like now, I work for an entertainment corporation, and I'm very blessed to be where I'm at. But I'm also very cognizant of the fact of, in my division, there's only one other Black person that works in my division. And so, like, as far as like working on, there's other Black people that work, in our corner of the corporation. But as far as our specific unit, there's only two or three Black people working in it. So a lot of the conversations, like, I'm having to have conversations about Juneteenth. I'm having to have conversations about, we're researching stuff about, the Nigerian culture, and having to be able to speak to this as not only someone as a marketer, but also someone who is Black. So it's very interesting. And that series I mentioned earlier, last year, before I quit that job, I was the only Black person working on that show. So it was like, so I'm having to figure out how to contextualize and how to kind of speak, and they weren't really asking me to speak for, all Black people, but it's also kind of thing.
But there's always that atmosphere of like, they're like, well, what does he think?
And that's not happening now. But when I was working on that series, that was in another series, that's like, that was something that did like, I did question. And now that we're in this space, it's more of, people aren't expecting us to have the answers, but it's more of, what can we do to help? And it's a very interesting switch to have to go from that last year to doing to what I'm going through this year. It's a very interesting thing.
To any businesses out there that's watching this show, because we know y'all watching, but on the real, what can you do? You can open up your purse.
Right.
You can open up your purse, because one of the biggest issues in our community has been that we have been systematically locked away from finance.
Yep.
Whether it's for home loans, whether it's for business loans, whether it's job opportunities based on your name or your address. There's all of these things that, we have been systematically targeted and kept away from. So you want to know what you can do? Open up that purse. If you're Google or something, find some black companies, not to buy and own, but to invest in and support. Or if you're someone, you have resources, you don't want to give them money, give them your resources. Say like, hey, come and use these computers, use this space, whatever, for free.
Right.
You can give of yourself to be able to assist, since you're asking.
Right. And it's like, and don't get me wrong, it's like, where I do work, I think at least our unit is they're very diverse, but we're also very hip to everything that's going on, right? Mm-hmm. But there is times, when I first started moving to LA, like years ago, like 7 years ago, I've been in LA in October, it'll be 8 years, I think. And when I first moved to LA, people would be like, oh, Clement Bryant. And I would be, hello, sir, nice to meet you. How's it going? On a phone call. Then I go in and be like, oh.
Yeah. And I was just talking about this on a show with Takia. You get that millisecond of, oh.
Microaggression.
We didn't know. We thought Michael was white.
Or Clement James Bryant, which is like my name. Like if I went into what my full birth name is, people would be like, oh, okay. And then you meet me and they'd be like, oh. And I've had that happen very much. And I've had that happen, when I was interning in Florida and during college. I've had it happen, in the DMV, which is very interesting. And I've had it happen a couple times in LA. And so it's a very interesting thing as a black man that had to be able to, be able to be a marketer in social media, but also two, to be able to figure out of saying, okay, yes, I am black, but don't hold me back because I am, right? So
and it's this weird place because it's like, on one hand, we need people like you in the space. We need black people in the space.
Right.
But then at times we are asking us to be the only people in that room.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which comes with its own stresses and its own, how should you wear your hair? Is this business casual enough? Is it, because everything is extra graded. Everything is the teeth on the comb is a little bit finer. Like, so on one hand, and then that kind of, go ahead.
No, it's like, and it's an interesting thing that you're talking about. It's like, one of my things is, it's not respectability politics, but it is one thing that I'm very aware of. Every moment that I go from, my corner in Culver City or West LA to Burbank, where I work, pre-COVID, okay, I make sure my hair is short. I know I'm dressing a certain way because, one, I'm not only representing where I work, but also two, if some stuff pops off, I need to be able to talk to where I was. Like, there was one time when I was driving home from Burbank to West LA, cop pulls me over and they have like a trap, a speed trap. And the guy he's like, where are you coming from? And I clearly have my ID badge on my lapel on my left side. And he's like, where you come from? I was like, work. He's like, where do you work? Oh, I work at an ad agency. This is last year. And it was like, oh, well, why are you at the agency so late? And I'm like, oh, well, I was just like seriously, like I was just developing a pitch for a brand new show. I can't tell you what the show is because of a non-disclosure agreement. And literally he keeps me for like 10 to 15 minutes in the speed trap because, my car's a little dirty. I'm driving an older model car. And I look suspicious because, one, I have a polo on, and then two, I have my hair dressed up a little higher. And it made me think, I was literally driving home, obeying the speed limit, not doing anything wrong. And you can clearly see in my I have a laptop bag on my driver's seat with books about marketing and, ad placement. So it's kind of like,
it's that
like really where am I
power going? because you can, which is that type of stuff that we're continuing to fight right now and kind of changing maybe how we police, or not we, because I ain't policing nobody, but changing how our society is policed. Changing the restrictions, changing the policies, prosecution thereof, and things of that nature. Because there's continual, I guess you could say a continual breakdown and continual abuse just because you can. All he had to say is, you're speeding this much, here's your ticket. Or you're not speeding and I don't even pull you over.
Right. But you literally have to stop me and then third degree me, and it's like, and don't get me wrong, I got off easy compared to other people what's going on. Yes. Right. But I don't want to. Right. But it's like, I don't want to pretend that I have any less greater or more harder than anybody else that has gone through this. But I'm just merely saying the fact of, I'm driving home at 10 o'clock at night. You can clearly see that I'm tired because I've been looking at a computer screen for the last, 12 to 13 hours. And you can clearly see that I'm a professional. I have an ID badge on me that matches my driver's license, that matches my registration, that says my name across, not only that, but my email account, my laptop, where it says on the sticker back on my laptop saying, this is, Clement Bryant, license to blah, 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 whatever. And so I'm just thinking, why did it even have to get to that point just because I'm black? And so it also makes me think of, when I do have a kid, and I'm not sure, when your kid can have a conversation with you, when do you have that conversation of, hey, you can't respond to certain things the way that other people can? And in that situation, I very clearly had my hands on the wheel here. And I was like, look, I'm not doing anything. Keep an even voice. Even if I fluctuated just a little bit of my voice, it's like, oh, you're being hostile.
Yeah. So it's clearly teaching someone how to operate in a world that wants to see him or her fail and wants to see him or her beaten, battered, and bruised, but to maintain their composure and keep cool. And, because even though you said all that, and I understand, I say that stuff too, but it doesn't matter if you were unemployed. You should be able to be completely unemployed, driving around, sightseeing if you want. Right. If you weren't speeding, or you weren't, swerving into people, there was no reason to pull you. There was no reason to pull you.
But because it's a speed trap, and also where the speed trap is happening in the age of deportation and ICE, so they're already looking for people. So they're just fishing. Right. So
and that's another thing that needs to be dealt with. But of course, that's lower on the totem pole. Yeah. But
I mean, this happened last year, well before all this happened. But it's just and I've gone through other things, but that's the most latest thing, and it's just all right. Why did he even have to give that? It's so I don't know, man. I think it's just it's interesting. Like I say, I'm grateful for where I'm at now with my job, but it's now I'm grateful to be in an organization that at least recognizes diversity and recognizes, how we're supposed to kind of at least respond to certain things, especially now versus where I was a year ago. So it's, and I think even now, one of the things that, at least through this whole thing, I've really had to cut back my time on social media because it's been very traumatic of having to see videos of people, one, getting shot, two, knee on the chest or throat, getting hit with tear gas, and I've kind of had limit because one of the things that I struggle with is anxiety, and so it's been I've had to really just put my head down, either read something, work out, read a comic, or just go on a walk. And and I think, I'm not sure if I say that because I want to know how you're responding to everything, because I think I think one of the things that I kind of want to cover is, even though it doesn't look like someone might not be, protesting or have an opinion about it, doesn't mean that they don't have an opinion about it.
Yeah, and that's why I'm like, I try to open on Friday. We do lounge it, and I tell people, look, it's okay. We do have to keep fighting, but it's okay to take a break. It's okay to get some rest. It's okay to recharge yourself. It's okay to cry. It's okay to just be silent. You know what I'm saying? I don't want anybody out there feeling like they're weak because they cried or whatever. Like, for instance, whenever I have to go out, I try to order as much as I can, because now we're seeing the emboldened day-to-day citizens to do things that police might do. And I don't want to be out there, you know what I'm saying, getting, picking up bread, you know what I'm saying? And then it goes from me running to the store to now, I'm a hashtag, or I'm another one of those videos on Facebook or something like that. So there's this high anxiety of I just want to go to the store and come back home. You know what I'm saying? I just want to go and come back home. And you think a lot more about it. When I think about I'll leave, and just something as simple as like, hey, I'm going to go to, I don't know, Vons or Smart and Final or Sprouts or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Just the simple things, but it's like, please God, let me go and just go to the store with no craziness. Because I mean, you see these videos and I'm not immune to that happening to me.
Right.
Or, you aren't.
None of us
so
are.
It's like, there is this thing of growing up in America, I already get scared whenever I see flashing blue lights. But now there's this heightened level, because now there's been a large response from people in power to push back with force, because now they're mad because someone's trying to actually hold them accountable for what they've done or what they continue to do.
Right. And
so now
you gotta talk about
I don't want to be the random guy that just catches somebody's anger, you know what I'm saying, when I'm just going to get some chips. You know what I'm saying?
Like every time I drive, I've made a habit of subconsciously checking in. I know where my registration is in my car. I know where my driver's license is in my wallet. I take my wallet out of my pocket every time I get in the car and put it on top of my dash, because my wallet's also thick and black. That also matches
last thing you
my
need.
cell phone. So it's very much of, okay, let me make sure everything's out of my pocket, because I don't want to have to reach for something and say, officer, I just need to reach into my glove compartment and get my registration. Or be like, hey, I need to get my wallet. It's right here on my dash. But I just want to let you know that it's square, leathery, shiny, and black. Because exactly
the things you shouldn't have to do, but I understand. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's like,
so
it sounds stupid when you say it.
It sounds crazy.
Like telling an adult, I'm moving my hand to the right and going to grab my wallet. You know, the thing that everybody in America has. Now, I know women's wallets look different, but pretty much everyone in America has one. You've seen it. I've seen it. We all own them. But I have to tell you that I'm moving in slow mode. It's just, it's frustrating.
It is, and I think it's interesting to see the response that George Floyd has gotten, and I think it's like literally, it's sad, but every time this happens, it's like people get mad and then they move on, right?
And see, this time people,
and this time they didn't. And honestly,
because we had a build-up. You know, we had Ahmaud Arbery, and people were like, what? How did this happen 2 months ago when we just figured out? Then maybe like a week after we found out about Ahmaud Arbery, then Breonna Taylor. And we're like, what? She was asleep in her bed? What's going on? Then about a week after that or so, then we have George Floyd. And then there's been another young
Well, before
man
George
in
Floyd,
Tacoma.
we had Amy Cooper. But that didn't end up end up with a killing, thank God.
But it could have.
It could have. So, so it's like literally we had Ahmaud Arbery, then we had Breonna Taylor, and then we had the whole Amy Cooper, Christian Cooper situation, and then you have George Floyd. So it's been like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So now people are like, we're done. And I'm glad they're done, and I want them to maintain that energy. I can't remember the young sister's name that she did a video, what's his name retweeted? Trevor Noah retweeted her. But that young sister, we need to keep that same energy. Keep going, keep pushing. Whether it's, like I said, I've been a big proponent of take your kids out of that system. Meaning, if you can figure out a way between you, maybe your family members, your friends or whatever, to homeschool your child, take your kid out of that system. I know there's certain things that you might miss. But there are organized sports outside of school. You know what I'm saying? Take your kid out of that system. Shift the way you vote with your money. You vote with your dollars. Shift this, shift that. Get out there, fight. If you can't fight, donate to those who are fighting. If you can't fight or donate, make sure you share. Make sure you keep speaking about it. Make sure you call out folks that are doing wrong or whatever. And then, of course, for the older contingent, we need you. We need that. We need you to shepherd into those rooms that you're already in, and maybe not finger wag us. But that's a whole other thing. And I know we're coming to time, but I did want to check in with you because, you know what I'm saying?
And before we want, I just want to say because it's like we only have so long to really talk about this. But for anybody that's watching, I don't want anybody to think that we don't take this seriously or we're just covering the nuts and bolts of it. This is an issue that's been long standing and need to be addressed. And
we're going to continue to cover it. I'll continue to cover it on this channel.
And we should continue to cover it.
We'll be talking about it over and over and following, especially Breonna Taylor's case, because I don't believe those officers have been arrested yet. That's one.
I don't think they've.
And two, the thing that I am very interested in this case is usually the cop doesn't have anyone to retort. They killed the person, they're dead, their side of the story is never told. But this time we have Kenneth Walker. We have his 911 tape, which is heartbreaking. And he was there.
Yeah.
So this is going to be different than Amadou Diallo or Abner Louima or Botham Jean. Or, this is going to be different than those cases because now there's someone who was there. And we have their eyewitness firsthand account from the 911 call. This changes things drastically.
And honestly, I just got to think I never would have thought that 2020 was going to be the way that it's developed so far. Like literally every month it's been something. And, and I want to just say my earlier comment was, when people get mad and then move on, that has happened. Both in G and case, people got mad, then they moved on, but it's like, and I don't want to seem like I'm trivializing it because I'm not. But the way that I've seen it, it's been like, oh, people get mad, and then but there's been certain things like, Ferguson, Trayvon Martin, because Trayvon Martin thing still pervaded for years. So I think because it's been so regulatorized that we just kind of get a second love, at least outside of us, it's been like, get mad and then go back, get mad and get back. But now the landscape of 2020 is completely different, especially what's been going on.
Yeah.
Completely different.
I think I'll leave it with this because we are at time, but I'll leave it with this. I've said many times, we ain't tired yet. And what I mean by that is, I don't know if you remember, but Egypt had an uprising.
Yeah.
8 years ago now, 10 years ago now, or something like that.
It feels yeah.
Whenever they did, they interviewed a woman on the street, and she said, "We don't have any jobs. They beat us up. They run everything, and we're tired."
Yep.
And the president of Egypt, or the I don't know, the prime minister, whatever his name is, he had to sneak out of his own country. And every time something happened, I'd say, "We ain't tired yet." When we tired, when there's people in the streets, like we have, see now, we getting there. Now we tired. And now we see this kind of shift, and I'm like, cool, let's use this and let's keep going. So, you know, before we get out of here, if you out there in the streets, thank you.
Yep.
For continuing to march, continuing to get in their face, continue, you know, black media, continue to cover it, because there will be many outlets that try to shift the narrative or try to just ignore it in general.
That part.
But with that said, Clement Bryant, tell people where they can find you.
You can just find me on Twitter, Instagram at Clement Bryant. I might not be tweeting and posting as much lately, but you know, I'm there, you know, on my fitness stuff, talking about my marketing, talking about we didn't cover the, you know, why we're talking about all this stuff. We didn't get to cover the whole Batwoman news of like that happened, which is a whole other thing.
Sunday or next week, something like that. Yeah. Because Batwoman is a whole nother thing.
Oh, yeah, it's gonna be interesting, bro. Definitely. Where can they find you, bro?
With that said, of course, me, NERDSoul, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all them places. Guys out there, stay safe for COVID reasons. Stay safe for law enforcement reasons. Protect yourself at all times. You know what I'm saying? It is your right to protect yourself. Do not forget that. And we will see y'all next time. From us to you, thank you for tuning in. Peace.
Peace.